Hi, I'm Alexandra Rogers. I'm the author of Flavorful blog. I got interested in food. I guess I've always been interested in food. I grew up in a household that cooked a lot, and it's something my parents really encouraged as sort of a pastime. Some of my fondest memories are of my family in the kitchen, so it's something I've always loved. Well, I started blogging because I realized that, with my career being interested in public relations, that new technologies were really something I needed to know about, and I wanted to prove to future employers, honestly, at first, that I could write about food and I could communicate about food in different ways. But then, once I started, I realized that there's this vibrant community of food bloggers, and now I do it for a really different reason. I think it's really amazing to be a part of the community and contribute something to this whole conversation about where food's going and where food should go. With a recipe, I'll think of a recipe on Monday, I'll go get the ingredients on Tuesday, it sort of lingers in my head. And then, when I finally finish enough grading or enough homework that I can get around to doing the post, it takes so much longer to cook something when you have to photograph every step. So I'd say the average post, if you don't think about all the kind of pre-planning, jotting down things on the side of notebooks, takes maybe like 4 or 5 hours by the time writing and testing and editing is through. But it's so worth it. It's so cool to see a final result and to hear people making them and serving them at parties and people liking the food. It's wonderfully rewarding. I like to write mostly for people, around my age, people that are starting out maybe, or maybe are grad students who want cooking to be a bigger part of their lives. I think my recipes can be made by experts and people who love food, but I'm trying to really focus on helping people along in the kitchen. I know a bunch of my friends, read it, and they started out just as sort of pity followers, but they do follow it and they make my recipes and they call with questions, and they're people who truly want to make delicious, good-for-you food, but didn't necessarily grow up with it like I did. So that's sort of my target audience, and I really hope that they can get the answers they're looking for with cooking and find answers to questions they don't even know to ask, as well as just, it's always nice to be able to put a nice meal on the table for a girls' night or for a dinner date, and I think hopefully the recipes I'm providing can help with that. It used to be I would dig through magazines and cookbooks, and I still do that just because I enjoy doing that. But a lot of times now I realize that there's a lot that I've been cooking without a recipe for a long time, to feed myself throughout college and life. And so I've really been trying to test those recipes, write them down, share them with people, just things that I've always kind of whipped up. I think the challenging thing about blogging is actually for me really writing down the recipes and making sure that they're easy to follow. I think for people who cook a lot like I do, I forget about recipes. I kind of improvise, and I realized as I was starting the blog that it's not easy for people to follow that. It's all well and good to call a friend and say throw a little of this and a little of that together, but it's completely different when you have an international audience and they need strict measurements. So for me, it's really been developing a system and a recipe testing system after I've written the recipes to communicate how to do things. I love food. I love food for a lot of reasons. Obviously it tastes good, and I've always loved sort of having a really good meal, but I also think a really good meal can cure what ails you. It can make you feel happy, and it can make you feel better and excited, and maybe it's the way I grew up, but that's how I look at it. But over the years I've also grown to love it because I think there's such potential for creation. You can make sushi, or you can make an apple pie, and it's still sort of the same process in your mind. It's incredible the diversity you can have, and you're never done. I haven't met somebody who has stopped being able to come up with new things or try new recipes because there's so much out there. So I think sort of the ability to create and the feelings it gives people, and then also community. I think a big part of food for me is not only what I'm eating, but who I'm sharing that meal with. And some of the best moments of my life have happened over food, and possibly some of the worst as well, or at least recovering from the worst. So I just think, I think food helps make community, and it helps strengthen community, and that's part of why I really love it.